There are coaching calls that we have, and I'm able to basically tell them, I'm looking in your crystal ball. I know what your first year is going to be like, and I know what your second year is going to be like. The highs of having a good day with your business is not a high that can be matched in anything else. Obviously, on the other side of things, a bad day of you running your own business is going to be a worse day than you've ever had.
Welcome to the Franchise Champion Show. I'm Alan Regala, former D1 athlete, Stanford engineer, and franchise owner who built a multi-million-dollar exit. I created this show to help driven individuals like you find the right business and learn how to build wealth and reclaim your time. My guest today grew up with Sir Grout in his DNA. His father was one of the brand's original founders, but that didn't hand him a career. He had to find his own way in, and when he did, he brought a finance background, fresh perspective, and a front row seat to what it actually takes to grow a franchise system. Today, he leads the brand as its brand leader, focused on helping franchisees win. Philip Gill, welcome to the Franchise Champion Show.
Appreciate it, Alan. Glad to be here.
All right, Phil, take me back to the beginning here. I'd love for you to tell us kind of the origin story and, leading into, what Sir Grout actually does.
Yeah, sure. Sir Grout's a bit of a fun story where, like most best things that come into our world, it was mostly an accident. My father was an entrepreneur, had another business, had a piece of equipment from that business he was running, and hit a bit of a wall in terms of where that business was going. So he took that piece of equipment from that other business that he had and decided to use it in our front foyer. So that steam cleaner that was meant to be used for auto detailing, just wanted to see what would happen when we cleaned the tile and grout right in front of our front door.
Okay.
When he took that steam cleaner to the grout, a lot of dirt came up, and he said to himself, this is my business. As it so happens, when we're asking around to friends and family, a lot of them also said, hey, it's really hard to clean tile and grout. Whenever I scrub it, clean it, whatever I use doesn't come up as much as I want it to. So he said, let me see what I can do. So Sir Grout originally started with friends and family, went to cleaning. Cleaning evolved to cleaning and sealing. Cleaning and sealing became cleaning, sealing, color sealing, regrouting, recaulking, stonework, honing, polishing, and full hard surface restoration where it is today.
Wow, that's great. That's a lot of different services that got added on.
Absolutely. It's an evolution, and innovation is what drives drove and what continues to drive Sir Grout.
Wow, that's great. Okay, and so when did this all start?
This started early 2000s. So this was around 2004. And business started in northern New Jersey area, Rockland County, New York, Bergen County, New Jersey, expanded then into Fairfield County, Connecticut, and then Sir Grout began franchising in 2007 and started inching its way across the country.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, we're going to get more into the details of, the mechanics of Sir Grout and how that works as a business. But I'd love to hear first, what it was like growing up, with your dad as an entrepreneur and, and starting this business. What was that kind of family life like?
Yeah, I will say as a kid, it was kind of funny that I really didn't know what my dad did for work. I just knew that he was home, and then he was out, and then he'd be back, and he'd be dirty, and then he'd play with me, and that was my life. Is that my dad was home, my dad worked from home, he had time for me, time for whatever he did. He was on the phone all the time. I didn't know any better. As I got older and heard more and more names that were coming into this business, and then recognizing the deals and the new vendors that were becoming everyday conversation of what was happening with the business, and each month a new milestone, each year several new locations, it opened my eyes into how big of a world grout, tile, stone can be, which was really interesting. And so even though I didn't necessarily follow in my father's footsteps right away, I actually followed my mother's footsteps first to go into accounting and finance and work with numbers and things of that nature, as opposed to sales and entrepreneurship like my father. I was fascinated by it. So I would go to Sir Grout training even before I was a part of Sir Grout, and increase my skills in terms of knowing sales and knowing technical elements, and amazingly elements like chemistry that I enjoyed in school, but really important to knowing how our service works. So I took a really great interest and respect into the world of franchising and the world of home service, even before I was actually entering into the business. And then next thing I knew, I was following my father. Here I am.
Okay, so that's fascinating. So you sounds like you followed your mom's footsteps and went kind of a more traditional path, for education. It sounds like I think you studied at University of Georgia. Is that right?
I did. Right.
So talk about that. What made you decide to follow that more traditional path, and then what ended up pulling you back in?
Sure. So funny enough, when I was deciding which school I wanted to go to for college, I originally thought I wanted to be an engineer. And I was accepted into Georgia Tech early. I really thought I was going to go to Georgia Tech and I was going to focus on mechanical engineering. I looked at my curriculum and saw my path, and I saw a class, I think it was to be my sophomore or junior year, that was going to be refrigeration. And I really thought to myself, I said, is my career going to be refrigerators? Is that where my future is going? And I said, I don't know if it is. I think I want to do business instead. I happened to get accepted into the Honors College at Georgia, made the decision a little tougher between Georgia and Georgia Tech. I came down to picking the football team, so I went to Georgia and got into business more closely there. And while at school, getting exposed to accounting and marketing and finance, I was just something that came naturally to me, something I felt really good doing, something I felt I had talent in. So followed that path of accounting and finance and got into working in real estate fund administration, investor reporting, things of that nature, your classic office work. Mm-hmm. And that is what I was doing on a manager path up until really COVID, as many lives are impacted in so many different ways for COVID. For me personally, it exposed me very much into the entrepreneurship and home service world. I actually got my career in entrepreneurship and franchising started back in 2020, working in another franchise concept that my father happened to be a part of. Once I kind of had my toes dipped into the franchising space and the flexibility, freedom, creativity that comes with it, while also still being able to apply my classical business knowledge and accounting knowledge of how critical it is to comprise all these skills together, there's really no looking back. So I shifted from my classic office work to the home service franchising work. And I went from working on spreadsheets and partner capital statements and balance sheets and profit and loss statements to sanitizing, disinfecting, cleaning, sealing, honing, polishing, a whole new world that I didn't realize existed, as wide stretching as it goes.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I think COVID changed life for a lot of people.
Yeah, that franchise concept, it was great for the years that it existed. It was focused on sanitizing, disinfecting. It originally started back in the mid 2010s, so it's not like the joke was that we secretly started the pandemic in order for our business to grow. That was not the case. But it was definitely an impactful thing, as obviously that time in, global history, it really exposed a lot of people to just things they didn't know that they'd be exposed to. And I don't just mean from a virality standpoint, but from business standpoint, from personal standpoint, from family standpoints. And for my family in particular, we were very much affected, not just from a professional standpoint, but even on the personal side of how my family had to come together and where we were situated. And I've got a lot of family in New York City. So obviously that was a very interesting perspective to be where I am in Atlanta, my family in New York City, just globally across the country, however that time was, it definitely changed a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you got into this other franchise business, doing sanitizing, cleaning, and all of that good stuff. And then how did you end up? So this was a different business, right?
It was. Yes, it was.
Different business, and something that your dad was a part of, it sounds like. How did you get into Sir Grout? How did you get back into Sir Grout?
How did I get back into Sir Grout? Well, naturally working closely with the people I did. Sir Grout was always happening. over on the side, over in the background. Where I was exposed a lot into the model that we were trying to follow was the model of Sir Grout, knowing how we took something that was an idea and wanted to expand and wanted to innovate and wanted to be franchisee focused. And it opened up the door when one day I heard that a Sir Grout location was looking to sell their location. Once that franchise mentioned they were looking to sell that location, I raised my own hand of saying, hey, I've been around franchising for a little while now. I really like the model that we have, which is mimicking the model Sir Grout has. I really think between my franchise exposure, my business background, I think I can run my own business. So I explored the opportunity of owning this franchise in Sir Grout myself and took the leap. So
that's awesome.
I became a franchise owner in 2021, just a year into being exposed to franchising. So I definitely think I was a little overconfident at the very start, thinking, oh, I know everything I need to know in 12 months of being in franchising, but definitely learned a lot of lessons very quickly. And I don't regret making that leap at all, just from how much I learned and how much experience I gained becoming a business owner. And it was a really great opportunity. So, of course, saw things from the franchisee perspective, saw things from the ground up, from installs to sales to management to everything business ownership related. And obviously, a couple of years later, I found myself in a position where working on the franchisor side of things, something that I was doing with another brand, now having franchisee experience within Sir Grout, with obviously my background personally within Sir Grout, it was really a no-brainer for me to raise my hand and try to become the brand leader that I am today, which I'm glad I did, because I find myself now in an excellent position working in a fantastic brand, growing at a great rate with a tremendous pool of franchisees.
That's really cool. That's awesome. So I guess, do you still own your franchise location, or did you sell that? Or
I did sell that at the actually just over a year ago. So recently celebrated my 1-year anniversary of no longer having my franchise. I exited the franchise ownership mostly to focus on the position that I have now of wanting to help all of the other franchisees we have in our system continue to grow, continue to reach their goals. So it was not something I was maybe looking to do, but was approached with the opportunity and was really proud of what was built from my franchise and felt like the right time so that I could focus on these goals.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really cool, actually, to have someone who is, dedicated to the success of the franchisees, and to have that person have the experience that you have, not only in, having been raised in the family that created it, but probably more importantly is to have the experience of actually owning the brand as a franchisee, so that you can relate to all the other owners, knowing what they're going through, all the challenges and struggles that they're going through, so that you can help them out in a really meaningful way. And that's, I think, very unique. You don't see this with every brand. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's something that I'm very proud of as well, because there are coaching calls that we have, and it's funny that I'm able to basically tell them, I'm looking in your crystal ball. I know what your first year is going to be like, and I know what your second year is going to be like. And let me tell you what your third year might be like. And that's just from experience. That's from the ups and downs that I had. And it's something I love telling any franchise prospect, any franchisee. And I think anybody who's been a franchisee or is a franchisee can certainly relate that if you had any career before owning your own business, you know that the highs of having a good day with your business is not a high that can be matched in anything else. Obviously, on the other side of things, contra to that is a bad day of you running your own business is going to be a worse day than you've ever had. So it is a roller coaster. There's no doubt about that. But if you find the satisfaction and you chase that feeling of when you have a great day, there's really nothing better in the professional sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. When it's something that you own and you just care about so much more, this is like your baby, that you just are going to care for, and the highs are high and the lows can be low, but you keep getting better at it.
Oh, for sure. When I looked in the mirror on some days and I said, like, you did this, like you are doing something that maybe you were meant to do. There's purpose in what you're doing. You've made people happy. You've changed people's lives. You're supporting individuals who are looking to find their way with their careers. You were helping customers who had nowhere else to turn. It's uplifting. It's inspiring. It's motivating. Obviously, there's also some days where you go face to face with yourself in the mirror and you go, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? But of course, those are pushed to the back of your mind, and you're always chasing those things of saying, like, this was something I was meant to do. It's really great.
Yeah. Yeah. Those challenging days are going to come up every now and then for everybody, but they're usually, especially as you get more experience, few and far between. But those positives, man, I love what you said about, purpose. And I think it's really underrated. Most people, I think, go into franchising from whatever their corporate career was typically, and like, hey, I want to have control. Like, you're just tired of being, the politics, the red tape, and not being, maybe not being paid what you feel like you're worth, right? But so obviously the financial benefits are huge, if you get into this and you're doing well. And obviously the time benefits are huge when you have things, running like clockwork, and, you can control your time and go to your kids' games and practices and not miss those important events. But I think some of the things that are underrated are just that feeling of like, wow, I've built something, right? That's helping, obviously not just me, but helping, my community. I have real purpose. I'm serving others, whatever capacity that might be, whether it's, going to people's homes and providing a service like Sir Grout does, or any other, franchise business. You're providing some sort of service and helping other people. And then that part of, like you mentioned with your team, to me, that was one of the most fulfilling parts is, you have, that client number in mind is, at the forefront of your mind is providing a great experience for your customers, but then also providing a great experience for your team so that they want to serve you and want to serve your customers as well. And how you can really improve their lives, along at the same time as improving your own. I think that's really special in business.
100%. And even though I sold my business a year ago, I'm still in contact with the people that worked with me. I don't want to say for me, because they definitely worked with me. I couldn't have done that business without them. And knowing that I impacted their lives, knowing that they looked up to me, it's one of these things that it's incredibly fulfilling. And that is part of the reason that you end up staying in the business. Might end up being the reason that you got into the business, but it's definitely what keeps you saying, to give an analogy, right? You might start playing golf because you think it's going to be fun, but it's when you make an amazing shot,
yes,
that you're going to say, this is what's going to keep me coming back.
And it keeps you coming back, you hit that great shot, and then you've got the other, couple shanks that you hit in a row, and you want to quit the sport.
That's the roller coaster. So why do you do that? That's the downs. Those are the days that you put in the back of your mind, because you're only going to be chasing the top things. And then, like you said, you get some momentum with how you're performing. You reach those good days. You find a good rhythm. You have the culture. You have the inspiration. Your good is just going to keep getting better, and you're going to keep having those good days. And that's just when you realize, like, hey, this is something that I was meant to do.
Yeah, love it. I love it. Quick pause here. If these comments on the life-changing effects of franchise ownership are resonating with you, we should talk. I work with driven individuals to find the right franchise for their goals, capital, and their life. No cost to you. Book a call using the link in the show notes, or head to athletetoowner.com/ready. Now back to Phil. Okay, so let's get back a bit to the mechanics of the business. I would love to hear about how Sir Grout works from a franchisee standpoint. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? What's the owner doing and what's their team doing?
So Sir Grout has a few different structures in terms of how our ownership is built. So put them in three categories. First is we have our owner operators. These are going to be the individuals that do everything top to bottom from their business. They're going to go out and see a customer and quote them for a future job, followed by going to another customer's house who actually perform an install. A lot of heavy work that goes into that, from developing personal relationships to achieve a sale, to achieve a quality result, maintain consistent business, get reviews, get referrals. Definitely for the people that like working with their hands, and working that face-to-face, every day is going to be a different adventure. We also have ownership where maybe don't have the owner necessarily doing the installs themselves. They'll still perform the sales, which is very popular, that you know the business top to bottom. You're the one making maybe not the very first impression, but maybe the longest lasting early impression over what this business is going to be. You set the table for your installers to execute the performance of the service itself at the end of the day. And then third, we have people that are going to be more of the, say, executive owners. They have an install team as well as a sales team, general managers or sales representatives that perform the duties of sales and general business management, including management of the installers, management of inventory, management of the calendar and the routes, etc. So different variety of ways, but generally from a day-to-day perspective, it's going to be different. To take a quote from a medical professional that I know, the anatomy of every day is the same, but no day is the same. Just like no body is the same.
Right.
So it means even though we're going to go out and perform similar services of cleaning, sealing, honing, polishing, using consistent equipment or products, no customer is the same, no day is the same. Every day is a new adventure. So Sir Grout keeps things entertaining. That is for sure, because you never know what you're going to see when you're looking in kitchens and floors and bathrooms, indoor, outdoor. In terms of grout, tile, stone, from the variety of options, the aesthetics, the choices that people have made, whether for their business or their home. So no day is the same, even though, hey, what we're ultimately trying to accomplish is.
Got it. Okay, so with regards to the actual work that you do, it started out, it sounded like is like grout cleaning. Is that a majority of the work you guys do? I mean, the name is Sir Grout, so it sounds like it's mostly about grout. And so, yeah, what did you say the percentage breakdown of the work is typically between the grout versus actually like the tile itself or other stone work or, you know?
Sure. For Sir Grout, we started as grout company, focusing solely on grout, but we have evolved into being more full hard surface restoration. When we clean grout, that is a majority of what we do still, whether it's floors or whether it's showers, indoor, outdoor, cleaning, sealing grout, or regrouting with specialty grout. That is what we deliver most often. Now, we also perform service with, say, high durable coatings or different types of sealants. That would be specific tile services. So when we treat grout, we often want to also treat the tile. They kind of go hand in hand, peanut butter and jelly, grout and tile. However, we also do a lot of work around stone and natural stone. This will include etch repair, stain repair, scratch repair. I don't want to get way too technical when I go into all the service that can revolve around stone, but stone is a big portion of our business as well, as that exists for countertops, for floors, and again, inside, outside, a wide variety of treatments that can be done in order to treat stone. So while a majority of the work that we do is going to be focused on your grout, particularly grout and tile, I would say, a good portion of our business, maybe not the majority of our business, but a good portion of our business also treating stone. So we see a wide variety. Definitely Sir Grout is focused on the grout. And when we come to work on your grout, we're focusing on your grout. But as a hard surface restoration company, we want to work with your tile. We want to work with your countertops. We want to work with anything that's going to be a hard surface, tile, ceramic, porcelain, natural stone, etc. We've got services to cover all of these surfaces itself.
Got it. And is this mostly direct to consumers or business to business?
It is mostly direct to consumer. Sir Grout was founded as a focus residential solution. We've certainly stayed mostly in the residential space. We have expanded a bit into commercial. The services we perform very easily translate residential to commercial, but we've certainly got our name and brand grown through the residential space.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I definitely see the ads in the Val Pack that we get, and I see the night, and
Oh yeah,
it's a good looking ads.
that is Sir Grout.
So I know you have different ownership models. It sounds like you got owner operator who's doing everything. You've got someone who's more focused maybe on sales and has installers, and then you've got more executive where someone just kind of overseeing. People are doing all the other functions basically, right? And someone that's taking a higher level view from their position. So I guess for any of these positions, what does it take to be successful in Sir Grout? Like, what are the higher performing franchisees doing?
Sure. It's a great question. And it's a question I love getting, especially because my answers to it, they seem so simple on the surface, but it not only applies to Sir Grout, but also any other franchise in general. But specifically for Sir Grout, we're very process focused, which means follow the blueprint. Listen to the directions.
Follow the system.
Follow the system. When we tell you that in order to perform this service, you should do steps 1 through 7 exactly as we say 1 through 7, that will get you to the end result. If you skip a step or change your step, you're going to have a harder time, because I promise you, over 20 years of being in business, we tried another step and it didn't work. Or we tried another step and it worked, and that's why that step exists for what we have. So what I like to say for Sir Grout is we have the recipe for the cake. We tell you need to use sugar, butter, and flour. If you want to throw in a pinch of vanilla after you've gotten sugar, butter, flour taken care of, okay, that's the benefit of having your own business. But if you're going to tell me that you're going to replace sugar with maple syrup and expect to get the same result, we're going to have a little bit of a hard time making sure we get there. Now, of course, hey, you do it anyway, and you then tell me, hey, this is 20 times better using maple syrup. Well, then I'm going to erase sugar, put in maple syrup, and tell you that's my system the entire time. But we haven't had that happen yet. But either way, our greatest franchisees, they are ones that when they got started, they followed the process. They followed the system. They followed the blueprint. Reinventing the wheel is not going to get you very far. Secondly, it is being fearless. That fearlessness comes with basically expanding your comfort zone. That can be as little as I've never done sales before and I'm going to try doing sales. That can be as little as I've never done installs work with my hands, so I'm going to try that. It can even be even more wide ranging of saying, hey, this is something I never thought I would say yes to, but I'm going to say yes to it. And that can be from an advertising attempt. That can be for going into a commercial space and trying to serve commercial when you've never served commercial before. If you only focus on what you think you're comfortable doing, you won't be able to advance. So you have to be willing to ask questions you might have never thought you could ask. And you might question, oh, I would never do that. Oh, I would react this way if I was doing this. But you kind of have to become a bit of a different person, a bit of a bigger risk taker.
I love that. I mean, I think to me, one of the most interesting things with business ownership is there's this whole side of, to assuming you've never owned a business before and you buy a franchise and now you're looking to grow it, grow your team and all these other things, you're becoming a better leader. Right. At the end of the day, it's like you're growing and it's like this element of this personal development. I think that happens naturally through the course of owning a business and growing it that most people don't really think about. But I love what you said there about, I use the same term, which is expanding your comfort zone. I love that because you really have to push. You have to build muscle. You have to stretch them, right? And you have to tear them a little bit and go to grow. And same thing with whether it's sales or installation or marketing or any of these things, you have to be able to push yourself beyond what you're used to doing to be able to do more things. And that's just learning, right?
100%. Now, obviously, I'm not saying, hey, every single Sir Grout owner has to go skydiving before they can buy a franchise. We're not saying get that far out of your comfort zone, but certainly this is going to be an experience that you've likely never had before, whether it's home services or tile and grout or franchising in general. It's going to be a new exposure for you, but you're also going to find your comfort zone and your bubble within that new experience, new adventure. You have to stretch it out, because if you don't stretch it out, you will max out. You will basically reach your limit and say, this is where I'm good. But if you really want to get to the upper echelon, to be the top of the top, it's going to be the people that experiment, take risks, try different things. Yes, they might get burned. Yes, they might have scars, but at the same time, they're able to reach certain heights that most others can't.
Yeah. I think this is where, the term grit comes in for I think it's kind of maybe combined with a couple things, but just understanding that when you're learning something new, it's not going to be perfect the first time out. You expect it to flop, expect it to not be the best, but that's okay. If you set that expectation, you're going to fail the first couple times you try it. When you're in that sales position, you've never done sales before, it's not going to be the best, but when you work on it and you practice, you get the feedback and you get a little bit better and you keep going at it. You don't quit. You will get better.
One of my favorite stories I get from franchisees is when they might have a returning customer that called them back for another room, another project, whatever it might be. And of course, they show up to the home and they go, "Oh, of course, I remember you. I did your bathroom. Let's go take a look." They walk into the bathroom, turn the corner, look at the floor, look at the shower, and they go, "Never mind. Let's not look at this," because they go, "I did that? There's no way I did that. I wouldn't do that. When I come back and do this other room, I'm fixing this room." That's what happens.
Yeah.
But certainly as you practice, as you get better, and funny enough, even practice itself, you might not be someone who ever did practice. You might not be someone who ever studied for 2 weeks before the test instead of studying just the night before. These are kind of qualities you have to stretch yourself to start doing if you want to fully succeed in owning your own business. And certainly specifically for Sir Grout, that's the case, right? Practice, study, learn, evaluate yourself, get a little uncomfortable with judging yourself in the mirror of if you are reaching what the max potential could be, if you are taking risks, if you are doing everything you can to say, "I'm maximizing my business for how I'm contributing to it."
I love it. That's awesome. So I'm curious to know, for you're growing across the country, how many locations do you guys have now? How many franchise owners, and what are you looking for in your ideal franchise owners?
Sir Grout now has, I like to use round numbers, have the exact figures if you are ever so curious, but we have about 40 owners. The rounding's fine. We have about 40 owners in about 60 locations. We are closing in on 100 total units across the country for Sir Grout. So I say 40, 60, 100 for just the rounding purposes. And who I'm looking for in order to join Sir Grout are going to be people that not just possess the qualities that I just mentioned of what makes somebody successful, but it's going to be someone who wants to be a part of a franchise community, because Sir Grout has in its DNA a franchise community. There's a lot of support from our very first franchise owners to our most recent franchise owners. There's an element of understanding that we're here to help each other, that we are here to lift the tide so all the ships get raised. So people that are going to be transparent, that are going to be willing to learn, that are going to recognize that, hey, this isn't the most glamorous type of business, because no one wakes up in the morning and was like, I really need grout and tile in my life. But for the ones that see the potential, to see the value, right? Those are the people that we want to see, that say, this is a hidden gem, that this is something people need. The joke from the original founders is that the 3 inevitabilities in life are death, taxes, and dirty grout. So of course, everybody has this notion that this is a problem. And I will say Sir Grout is something I perpetuate as well, that there is an affliction that you get once you recognize Sir Grout. Once you learn about Sir Grout, you can't escape looking at tile and grout and countertops and stone, which means if you're that type of person that was afflicted immediately, even before learning about Sir Grout, that's someone I want a part of this, because you're going to drive the attention that this business needs. You are going to raise awareness for, being a solution that many people don't know exists. The stubborn problems with aesthetics, the stubborn problems with design, an alternative to full replacement or reconstruction, being able to provide that type of savings or alternative investment people might have in their homes, which is such a valued and prized possession that people have. Someone who sees all that, that's who I'm looking for. I will also say looking for someone who has fun in exploring this too, right? Yes, this is a job, owning your business, but you have to really revel in it, the fact that you're doing it. And once you get that and know that you're working amongst a community, that you've got a support staff who has been a part of this business on the executive side, it means that you can seek having fun doing what you do. And if you can see the entertainment in the challenges that you're facing, and when you start succeeding in those challenges, that's, every franchise dream. So anybody who sees that and wants to be a part of that dream, that's definitely something we want.
That's great. I think culture is so important, making sure that, if you're a candidate looking at whatever brand it is just to make sure that you feel that that culture and the people part is a good fit, because it's just so important to, especially in a community like what you have. It sounds like it's just very supportive, and you're going to look for people that want to be a part of that community, not just kind of be off on their own. And being a part and having the right fit is going to help make the owners be successful.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Phil, and sharing the wealth of knowledge that you have in the history, and congrats on being a franchise champion.
I appreciate it, Alan. Thank you for having me on. This was great. And hey, I'd love to do this again sometime.
Sounds great. We'll have you back on in another year or two and see how things are going.
Perfect. We'll love a check-in.
All right. Phil's story is a great reminder that franchise success isn't accidental. It's built by people who understand the system, care about their franchisees, and show up every day with a plan. If you're exploring franchise ownership and want to work with great franchisors, that's exactly what I help with, at no cost to you. Book a call using the link in the show notes, or head to athletetoowner.com/ready. I'm Alan Regala, helping you become a franchise champion. See you in the next one.